Giving all glory and honor and praise to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teaching us 100% truth. Shalom and salutations to the hopeful elect, beginning with the 144,000 and the rest of the men, women, and children. I'm your brother Magan Shalamar. The title of this short video is Nero 47, Babylon the Great, Esau Edom, got a trick and a treat for you simple as Hebrew Israelites, 2/3. Quick video, fair use, fair use. It's going to show you how Esau doesn't care what type of holiday you celebrate. Fair use, fair use. It's for not for monetary gain, but for education purpose only.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is calling for federal agents to pause their immigration enforcement in Chicago until after Halloween, amidst widespread condemnation of chaotic and violent arrests, confrontations with residents.
I've sent a letter to Kristi Noem and to the Department of Homeland Security leadership asking them to pause all of their federal agent operations for the entirety of the Halloween weekend. I'm asking for basic human decency. I think their response will be revealing. They've disrupted everything for more than 2 months already. Give the children and the families of Illinois a break.
Governor Pritzker also wrote in the letter to Noem, quote, "No child should be forced to inhale tear gas or other chemical agents while trick-or-treating in their own neighborhood," unquote. But on Thursday, DHS Secretary Noem rejected Pritzker's request. She was speaking from Gary, Indiana.
Absolutely not willing to put on pause any work that we will do to keep communities safe. The fact that Governor Pritzker is asking for that is shameful. And I think unfortunate that he doesn't recognize how important the work is that we do to make sure we're bringing criminals to justice and getting them off our streets.
This comes as a federal judge Thursday ordered the person at the center of much of Chicago's enforcement, Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino, to appear for a deposition to explain federal agents' use of tear gas and other less lethal weapons against protesters who've taken to the streets to oppose the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's replacing ICE leadership at half the country's field offices with Border Patrol officials in regions where President Trump's demanding more immigration raids and arrests. In recent weeks, CNN's reported the Trump administration plans to build a new network of mass immigration jails that can hold up to 100,000 prisoners by funneling billions of dollars through the Navy to help facilitate the construction. To talk about this and more, we're joined in Washington, D.C. by Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, Senior Fellow at the American Immigration Council. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Aaron. Let's start with the plea from the Illinois Governor, J.B. Pritzker, not to tear gas children while they're trick-or-treating. And the Homeland Security Secretary's response.
Yeah, what I think you see here is that Secretary Noem wants these mass deportation operations to keep going no matter the consequences, no matter the day, no matter the disruption that it has on American communities. And they are more and more aggressive as they expand the workforce and really try to make Chicago an example for the country so that people understand what is coming to other cities throughout the Trump administration.
Talk about what's happening, for example, right now in Chicago, and particularly talk about what it means that Border Patrol is replacing ICE at about half the field offices across the United States, and what exactly that means, and how Bovino, the head of CBP, has been called before a judge and another hearing next week.
Yeah, well, I think what it means is that the administration wants enforcement on the streets, immigration enforcement, to look more like what is happening in Chicago. Commander Bovino, or Chief Bovino, has been the one in charge of the Los Angeles raids. Then he was moved to Chicago. He's in charge of the Chicago raids. And that style of aggressive, militarized enforcement is something that the Trump administration loves because it plays very well for them among their base. You even see that they often bring videographers to these arrest operations themselves masked and in camouflage uniforms so that they can capture it and post these videos on social media. And the Trump administration believes that that kind of enforcement is the model that they want to pursue because it lets them give this perception to their base that they are being more aggressive than ever before, than any previous administration, even than ICE itself was doing.
If you can talk about specifically how unusual it is, while the judge has stopped this for the moment, that the judge in Bovino's case said she wanted him to report to her every day. That's not at the moment happening, but the issue of body cam and what is causing Judge Ellis's response.
Yeah, so Judge Ellis is presiding over a case about the use of riot control munitions, things like tear spray or pepper balls, aggressive munitions that are used to disrupt civil unrest. And what they found here is that despite an order requiring ICE and their DHS and the Border Patrol, basically any component of this federal operation, to give people warnings before deploying riot control munitions, that it does appear that they are not doing that, or at least certainly not following the court order as she has wanted them to do. And so she called Bovino in because he is the one in charge of this operation, and she really said, you need to get a control of your officers, and said, I want to see you back in court every single day to talk about what's going on. Now, the Seventh Circuit has temporarily put a hold on that order, but it may go into effect once that case has a chance to be briefed by the Seventh Circuit.
And I wanted to ask you about CNN's report that the Department of Homeland Security is funneling $10 billion to the Navy in order to construct a sprawling network of migrant detention centers nationwide. The states expected to have these jails built in them: Louisiana, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Utah, and Kansas. Each of these immigration jails would hold up to 10,000 people, 100,000 overall, an expedited building of these jails.
Yeah, this is part of the funding that came in Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act. That law provided ICE $45 billion to spend on immigration detention over the next 4 years, which, when you combine it with the annual appropriations that ICE gets through the normal budget cycle, could give ICE about $15 billion per year to hold people in detention. And by comparison, the entire budget of the Federal Bureau of Prisons is $8.4 billion. So we're looking at nearly twice the budget of the Federal Bureau of Prisons to be used solely on immigration detention. And to spend that money in 4 years to get the system up and running quickly as possible, it means tent camps. And tent camps are something that the U.S. military has a lot of experience constructing. So we have already seen one such facility go up on Fort Bliss in El Paso, formerly known as Camp East Montana. The Trump administration calls it the Lone Star Lockup. It is set to hold 5,000 people, and they are reportedly adding about 250 beds per week. And it's already holding more than 2,000 people, and that number is growing daily. So we are looking at a network of Camp East Montanas being built around the country in the next couple of years.
I wanted to ask you about a ProPublica report that finds more than 170 U.S. citizens have been detained by ICE at raids and protests across the country. More than 20 citizens were held in detention without being able to contact loved ones or a lawyer. ICE agents also arrested 130 citizens, including a dozen elected officials, for allegedly interfering with or assaulting officers. Those cases were dropped. This is Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem speaking during a news conference in Indiana.
There's no American citizens have been arrested or detained. We focus on those that are here illegally, and anything that you would hear or report that would be different than that is simply not true and false reporting.
Aaron Reichlin-Melnick, your response.
Yeah, Secretary Noem is either ignorant of the facts or not telling the truth about the facts, because, of course, U.S. citizens have been arrested and detained by ICE. Now, sometimes that has been a deliberate arrest because a DHS officer believes the person is interfering with federal agents, but other times it's been because officers believed the person was an undocumented immigrant, largely because they were Latino. And we've seen this in Los Angeles, and we've seen this in Chicago, and we've seen this in other places around the country. That now that the Supreme Court has endorsed these so-called Kavanaugh stops, where ICE officers and Border Patrol agents can question people on the basis of their ethnicity or where they are or what language they're speaking, that U.S. citizens are being swept up in this, sometimes even when those citizens have real IDs available and ready to show people.
Let me ask you what happened in Rockingham County, Virginia. New video shows federal agents there violently arresting a mother, driving her daughter to school after she failed to recite her social security number during an immigration stop. Video of the incident shows the 16-year-old daughter of Jakey Funes Andrade, we're going to pick up the sound here, crying out as the agents tackle her mother to the ground, press her face down into the pavement, and handcuff her. Before the arrest, Funes Andrade reportedly showed agents her work permit, her social security card, driver's license, and car registration. But they arrested her anyway and took her to jail. What kind of recourse do people have?
Yeah, I haven't seen that video itself, so I can't comment on the specifics of what happened, but this is part of a broader pattern of officers really not caring to look at the paperwork people have or engage with them before these arrests are actually ongoing. Now, if that person is legally present, if they do have a right to stay here, then they could theoretically bring a lawsuit against the government to seek damages for an unlawful arrest. But those lawsuits are complicated, difficult, and time-consuming. And if the arrest was ultimately lawful but cruel, there may be little that she can do. I think this is why community support, access to counsel, getting people an opportunity to have a lawyer is so important at a time like this.
And let me ask you about asylum seekers and the dramatic cut right now in asylum seekers allowed in the United States. The Trump administration reducing the number of refugees admitted annually from 125,000 to 7,500, most of them white South Africans. Aaron.
Yes, so crucially, these are not asylum seekers. These are people coming in through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, which means they have already gone through a legal process overseas that has approved them as refugees to come to the United States legally with status on a path to a green card and eventually on a path to citizenship. And for 45 years, the U.S. Refugee Program has saved people from things like ethnic cleansing around the world. But now the Trump administration is trying to turn the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program into a new immigration program for white South Afrikaners and conservatives who they believe are being discriminated against because of their anti-migrant viewpoints. And that is just an abdication of the humanitarian work that the United States has done to so much success over the years, and a replacement with this ideological program intended to bring over like-minded conservatives, and only like-minded conservatives, to the United States.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel.
So that was a lot, but as you can see, Donald Trump, we know him to be Nero 47, is that cruel Lord, and they're doing what they was made to do, is to be evil. And, the Lord is dealing with his people first, the house of Israel. Let's get a quick scripture. This is Amos chapter 5, verse 21. It says, I despise your feast days. I will not smell in your solemn assemblies, right? Because this wicked ass day is so-called a feast day for the heathens. October 31st, Halloween. And they crying out to Esau, Edom, to take down the charge of them coming through and snatching up the northern tribe. Like, don't do it this weekend. Let our children trick or treat, which is a wicked ass holiday anyway, you know. And the Lord said, as I despise your feast days, I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. So this is all coming from the Lord, man, dealing with the northern tribe and the southern tribe of Israel. This is Romans chapter 13, verse 4. It says, for he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, right? Because the Lord made Yahweh made the Esau Edom the whipping stick for the wicked ass Jake. You know, he gave him that sword. He's blessed with the sword, and he does not bear that sword in vain, for he is the minister of the Most High, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So all this evil shit that's going on, or evil ass 2/3 Jakes still out there believing in the so-called white Jesus with blonde hair, blue eyes, want to still participate in these heathens holidays, then, you know, expect evil to come upon you, man, sent by the Lord. This is Hosea chapter 9 and verse 13. It says, Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place, but Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer. Right, that's the northern tribe coming to America, coming to the murderer for this destruction, man. Because 2/3 of Israel is going to die on the side. It's such a bigger thing than just thinking of what's going on is dealing with Halloween and, you know, oh, it's so a shame my kid can't go out to trick or treat. But the picture, the real picture is that, you know, if you so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians, we are from the tribe of Israel, God's chosen people, and we shouldn't be participating in these pagan rituals that the heathen nation does, you know, and that's counted as being evil in the Lord's eyes. And when you do them things, and the Lord's going to punish us, you know, he's going to punish us first, you know. This is Amos chapter 9 verse 9. It says, for lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. Like as corn is sifted in a sieve, shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Right, because the Lord is judgment starts with the house of Israel first. And when he's gonna sift, he's doing the sifting right now, and that's part of the judgment. And not one wicked ass Israelite is going to escape from him, man. You know, if you're part of the 2/3, then you're going to get caught up in the Jacob's trouble and all this evilness that's coming upon this earth and brought upon his people by the so-called white man. That's part of the God's judgment. Verse 10, it says, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. Right? So, you know, again, this is what a lot of people say in their heart, thinking that they're doing good, thinking what they're doing is not wrong, you know, thinking they praising Jesus Christ because their mom and dad was taught that and they brought up in the Christian church, that's the right thing to do. But the truth is out there. The truth has been on the highways and byways since 1969 from 1 West, starting with the Baba Bivens, and now carried down by the starting from the top of Great Millstone, the elder apostles on down. So it ain't no excuse no more about who is the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian, and who is the true God of this earth. His name is Yahweh, and his only begotten son name is Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. There's no more excuses for that. Zechariah 13 verses 8, it says, and it shall come to pass that in the land, said Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And them 2 parts is talking about 2/3 of Israel. 2/3 wicked parts of Israel is going to be cut off and die, man. You know, through the famine, through the, by the sword, you know, and by this ICBM missiles that's going to come and destroy America. That's why we read in Hosea 9 that Ephraim had brought her children to the murderer, because 2/3 of America's 2/3 of Israel is going to die in America, because America is going to become that lake of fire. In verse 9 it says, I will bring the third part through the fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah is my power. This is Amos 9 and 11 says, in that day I will raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. Who is that tabernacle of David? Is the elect. It's being raised up right now with the truth is being out on this earth, on highways and byways, by the elders, apostles, great millstone, right? Raising up the elect through this word, and close up the breaches thereof, the breaches between Judah and Ephraim. The difference between the southern tribe and the northern tribe. The Lord is going to close that gap, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, and that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, said Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, that doeth them, right? Because that's what's going to happen in that day of the Lord, when we would get our power through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, and he takes this kingdom. And that them some same Edomites that you saw pushing that lady down into the dirt, you know, the same Edomites gonna be going into change, man, going into captivity that day. You know. So with that, I hope to edify, call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Kah HaKadosh, double honor to the elder apostle, great millstone. Shalom.